I guess our story really starts 3.5 years ago, roughly, after my sister passed away unexpectedly of an aortic aneurysm, and we took in her 2 children. Shortly after that, I was diagnosed with triple-positive breast cancer and have gone through numerous treatments and surgeries since then.
When I was 33, I was diagnosed with stage 3 breast cancer. Yeah. And all I think is like, why me at 33? I'm a single mother, I have 4 kids. I couldn't even go to work after that. I couldn't handle it.
It was September 19th of 2016, and we had been following a bump on Steven's head on the right side. And he also had lymph nodes on the left side that you could feel and see. And 2 doctors came back instead of just 1, and then they proceeded to say that he has a football-sized tumor in his chest and he has a baseball-sized tumor on his skull and potentially more throughout his body.
Just this past February,
I had a lymph node swell out in my armpit. It was about the size of a half of an orange. I was battling constant fevers.
And when they did the biopsy, they came back the next morning and said that he had stage 4 non-Hodgkin's lymphoma.
I don't think that there's any one of us that plans for a hardship of a cancer diagnosis. And it doesn't always just affect the person that's diagnosed. It creates not only the fear of the diagnosis, but the fear of losing everything you have.
We hear a whole lot as they come in, and one of their highest stressors, beyond the fact that they've just been diagnosed with cancer, is how am I going to pay for all of this?
One day I woke up and we didn't have anything to eat. So I had to call one of my girlfriends, like thinking in my head, how do I word this? You know, how do you tell somebody that you don't have food? You know, so I was like, she was like, you need anything? And so I'm like, what if you can get us some lunch to eat, you know? And some bread. It was hard. Oh my God.
Just worrying about how are we going to pay our way, like what's going to happen, how are our bills going to get met, because I couldn't work for a great length of time. I'm just now going back to work. And with Joe, he can work minimally just because he just doesn't have enough strength at this time.
Sometimes we think that it just happens to people in like the lower class, lower middle class that are going to end up in that frame, but the reality is that that's not true. You know, we see people in the middle class and the upper middle class who don't have any disability from their work and they have to take time off.
I basically spent every day in the hospital, staying for weeks at a time with him, so I couldn't work. I had to stop. Like I couldn't do anything.
I mean, we see this not just once in a blue moon. We see this every time we're in clinic. Having insurance and the programs that exist through the state are not enough for what our families need. We just know that we have to rely on organizations like New Day to fill in those gaps.
All of this adds up to create an entirely burdensome financial debt that can take a toll psychologically, emotionally, and that's the last thing that we want our patients to have to think about. We want them focused just on their treatment and just on getting better.
What we see is that the families who are struggling with finances, in addition to having a family member with cancer, are having a harder time taking care of that patient with cancer.
When we can go to them and say, well, you know what, if your biggest worry about this is financial, you don't have to worry about that because we have the New Day Foundation.
Here's a group that's going to come in and do the best they can to remove that part of the burden so that they can just focus on their cancer care or their family members' cancer care.
We found out about New Day Foundation through the hospital that we were receiving treatment at. The financial coordinator there at the hospital and the nurse navigator let us know about the programs that were available and helped us along the way of, showing us what we needed to do to apply for some help.
I had a social worker at the hospital, and she was like, well, let me see what I can do for you. So she gave me a couple applications for some assistance that I had no idea these people even existed.
The patients who get assistance from New Day are just beyond grateful.
I could not believe it. Lord, I was taken back.
And what they did was paid several of our house payments with that, as well as a couple car payments and car insurance. And it was a huge help to us because we couldn't do it. We couldn't pay any of our way at that point.
It's almost like you can breathe a sigh of relief in that aspect.
The support, knowing that, one, financially, that these people are going to be okay, and they may not realize it right now, but in another few weeks, they're going to.
Just from New Day's assistance helping me out, it took such a load of relief off of me. Like, it was such a burden off. Whereas I didn't have to worry about where me and the kids were going to live and how we were going to get around and how I was going to feed them and all. It was such a big relief that my treatment went well. My treatment went wonderful. I couldn't even complain about anything.
Everything that comes to us was greatly appreciated, really beyond any expression. You can't really tell somebody just how grateful you are because without it, we would have lost our house.
The New Day Foundation is amazing. What New Day is able to accomplish for our patients is life-saving, it's rejuvenating, it's a safety net, it's hope.
Just the emotional support that they get from New Day is just, they connect to you guys in a way that is just incredible and is so helpful for them. It helps keep them positive through their journey.
New Day is the only foundation we have locally that offers counseling. And that's huge.
Any donation, small and ideally large, will make an impact in real time for these patients getting their cancer care.
It's more than just, giving the $100 to help cover a utility bill. It's letting families know that people care.
And whatever little token you guys give to the families who's stricken by cancer, thank you so much. We're so grateful. We couldn't thank you enough for the things that you guys have blessed into our life.
For anyone who's interested, I would really encourage them to be as generous as possible for alleviating these burdens for our patients, because I can tell you from a medical standpoint, it actually makes a huge difference.
Being able to close my eyes and sleep for a little bit, knowing that yes, we have help, everything's going to be taken care of, that there are good, amazing people in this world that care about others still.
As a social worker, sometimes I don't know what I would do without the New Day Foundation. I know I can pick up the phone or shoot a quick email to Chrissy and say, look, we've got an emergent need. What can you do? And you guys handle it every time.
It just helps you have that sense of feeling like you're not going down today.